I'm getting ready to do a little maintenance on the pivots on my Diamondback 4 carbon, the level link suspension. So I have a little table here with some of the tools I'm going to need. I'm going to need some Allen wrenches, a torque wrench. You're going to need your um, shock pump, some grease. Make sure everything, your whole area is clean. I have the bike there on the bike stand. Uh, One little tip: I have the rear wheel off. Most of you should know this, but one tip is if you're going to remove the rear wheel, make sure you shift to the smallest cog. It's going to make it a little easier to remove. And then I'll be deflating the shock there, the rear shock. I'm going to make sure I have how many pounds. I think I have it to 200 psi. And then I'll start by removing the lower link and just remove them one by one. So there's a video on Diamondback's site that has this whole procedure, so you can refer to that one too, but I'll be just making a quick video of how I'm able to do it myself. Alright, so first we're going to remove this pivot. This is a 6 millimeter. And just take it out. And place it on the table. What they say is that you can take an 8 millimeter, and there's actually an 8 millimeter hex area in there. Let's see if I can put a little light there. It's raining outside. There we go. Okay. And we're going to put an 8 in there. There we go. And that's supposed to, there we go, help it come out. And place that on the table. Alright, and now it's supposed to be a 10 millimeter in there. There it goes. And we're going to unscrew that guy. See if we can keep the light. There we go. Might get dark here in a sec because I'm gonna have to stabilize the suspension, and I'm holding the light with my hand. There it goes. I can feel that it's out. So I'm gonna set the little light down. And just kind of bring that out. Alright. And that does feel actually pretty dry in there. Alright, so I'm going to put that out. Now we have to get those little, oh wow, it's pretty dirty in there, pretty gritty. That might explain the creaking. Oh yeah, I can feel the grit that my frame is making. So I'm going to clean all that and grease it up and put it back together in there. Alright, so I wiped down all the parts and greased them up a little bit. We have the end caps. I have the other one on the other side already in there. I'm going to put this one in there and just slide everything together there. Alright, I have the axle all greased up. And it just slides right in there. And we're going to take our 10 millimeter. And I hope all this is coming out. And sorry about the noise. It is pouring. And I'm in the garage with the garage door open. But let me see here. So we got the 10 there. That's fine. This might be the 8. Yeah, it helps if we actually use a 10 in the 10. There we go. Alright, just screw that right in. Okay, and I might have to wiggle the suspension and the axle there, make sure it catches. I'm actually getting wet. I don't know if you can hear the rain behind me. Alright, it's not quite aligned. Let's go ahead and align it. There it goes. I have to close that garage door behind me. Okay, just snug. And I already have the, whoa, yeah, I'm getting wet. I already have the, I set it to 12 Newton meters. On the video it says 15, but then I read something on the forums to torque 10 to 12. So I went with 12. Okay, and that's 12 right there. And we're going to put in a little expander there. And then the last bolt, we're going to tighten to 8 Newton meters. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and reset this to 8 Newton meters, put in a 6 millimeter, torque it down. So I had an interesting experience with this one. So this one would not come out, and the little hex part started, this aluminum, so it started to actually round off. And it's interesting because on if you look at the video on YouTube from Diamondback, there's somebody that actually writes that they can't get this out, and their response is, well, you know, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't have any, you don't have to screw it out. It just, you know, that 8 millimeter hex thing is there for you to kind of twist it a little bit. But this thing was in like crazy. Having worked on cars for a long time, I know the first thing you want to do is stop before you damage it. So what I did was I took a punch and I bent it ever so slightly. Came from the other side, from the hollow side, and caught that little edge right there and tapped it. And it came out. And it's undamaged. But you can see, I don't know if you can see it on the video there, but there's little score marks all around it. So I don't know if that was too tight or what happened, or they didn't grease it. I'm going to write Diamondback and see if they can send me one of these. Since that was in there, like, I don't know, too tight, it scored. And maybe that's where the squeaking was from. So I'm going to, you know, remove this, grease it up, and do the maintenance on it. See, this comes out fine, but man, that was stuck, and now I see what that person in YouTube was talking about, that that little cone just not coming out, almost like it was in there too tight. It was actually stuck. So yeah, there's water in there. You can hear the grit. So yeah, that's water gets in there, and it's best to give this a little maintenance every so often. So we'll see what happens about getting a new one of those little cones. This one came out and went in perfect. So we'll see how the other ones do. There's two more, the smaller ones on the top of the link up there. So we'll have to get these two, and hopefully we won't have the same problem as with this one. But it came out. It was just really stuck in there. So I guess I'm not the only person that's happened to, based on the comments on the video on YouTube site. And I'll post in the forums and see if anybody's had that kind of problem also with removing the cone. So we have the axle bolt there torqued at 12 Newton meters, and made sure this little sucker is nice and greased before putting it in there. I'm going to put that guy in there with the 6mm. Grease the threads, grease the head. Okay, there it goes. And then we're gonna triple make sure I have a good torque wrench set to 8 Newton meters. And we're just gonna make sure we don't over tighten that thing. There we go. Gonna wipe off any excess grease. Hopefully that next time will actually come out. And we'll do, so that's nice. These two are done. Gotta do these two and I'll be done. I'm not gonna, I mean these will be the same. Not sure what size. Those look small, like a 4. Yeah, these are 4. You know what? Let's see if this one actually comes out. I don't know if that has a hex. It's a little wet because I just washed the bike. Yeah, there's a hex in there also. That one, I don't know, that looks like maybe a 6. No, it's also an 8. It's not an 8. Let's try the 6. It's not a 6. Oh, come on, it's a 7. I'll look around and see what fits in that one, okay? So lo and behold, that one is a 5/16. That is interesting. And let's see what the inside one should be, an 8. Right, here's my 10, here's my 8. It's a 10. It's a 10 also. But yeah, the 8 didn't fit. So, whew. I guess I gotta put this down. I don't know if it's in even in camera range. There it goes. That axle out too. As you can see, it's a longer axle, dry and sticky, so we'll kind of do the same to this. Alright, got all the parts there. We'll clean them out, grease them up, put them back together. Alright, so after checking that that upper cone, it is an 8. It's a very, very, very tight 8. So, you know, you might think, well, maybe it's just that cheap tool you're using. So I can actually kind of force that 8 in there. Super tight. But it happens with the T1, and it happens with the Cobalt one, where you can almost force that 8 in there. So the tolerances on this thing, they're not, I guess they're not that precise. I'm sure they're made in China. So well, it's nothing to say, China makes some good stuff too. But yeah, that 8, I could barely force an 8 in there. And with the 7/16 that came out, luckily, and it came out easy. Last one to do is that one, and I'll be done. Alright, so the top axle actually came out very easily. Same thing, got all the parts there, gonna clean them. Interestingly enough, this cone, the 8 millimeter fit perfect, whereas this cone the 8mm, I really couldn't get it in unless I pounded it in. So this one was an actual 8mm. This one, it's supposed to be an 8mm, but just the tolerances were off. So now we're gonna grease it up, put it all together, make sure we pump up our rear shock again, and then we'll see if it makes a little less noise. If anybody's wondering about the noise, I do have I did grease the post with assembly grease made for carbon frames from Park. So you know, I might still take it out, clean it, grease it up a little bit again, and see if that's what's making the squeak. After taking all those axles out and seeing how dry they were, though, I'm pretty sure, and almost a little gritty, at least on the outside here of the bearing, I'm pretty sure that's going to take care of my creaking problem. All right, so it's all put together, all torqued to specs. The shock is back up to 215 psi, which is what I run it at. And everything seems to be running well. The bike is almost quiet now. A lot of the creaking is gone now. Little creak here and there every once in a while, but nothing like it used to be. So is servicing the Level Link at home doable? Yeah, it's actually very easy as long as your cones come out. Just had the problem with that one cone that would not come out. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward, and if you have basic mechanical skills, you can definitely do this at home as long as you have a torque wrench to torque everything back down to specs. Should not be a problem. Like I said, the only problem was that one cone that would not come out. I had to tap it out from the other side, but once that was done, everything kept going very smoothly. So you might want to give it a try, and definitely looks like if you ride, I've been riding in kind of muddy areas recently that has a little bit of gritty, almost sand-like dirt. So mine really needed that cleaning and that re-greasing. So I hope you like it, and give it a try if you have one of these bikes. If you have problems with that cone, try to tap it from the outside. Otherwise, it should be pretty straightforward.